Hello, this is Liz with Crafty Devotion, and I have made some changes from the last time. I think the last time I had placed a giant bling here, and I decided I didn't like it, and I felt like I wanted a little more on this side, but not enough to cover this beautiful part of the fabric, so this is what I came up with. I placed those beads that I had put at the bottom up here on top, as well as another layer of a green one that to bring in that green color, because I wanted a little bit of green in here and I didn't have that much. And then I decided to downplay this a little more but put some elegance in there, and I used a combination of, let me show you, I have these little teeny tiny gold flowers. I've actually put these in my crafty boxes also, and I put the little flowers with a bling that's red but not too big. And then I was looking in my drawer of things that sometimes there's things that I put in my shop and they don't sell for a while, and I don't renew this subscription, and I just say I know I can make something beautiful with that, and that's what this was. I loved it, and I decided it would just add the perfect little bling, because I felt like this needed to have a little bit of like calming it down a little bit, and bringing your eye to something else will help that. And then remembered I put this chain here. I had put it on this side. I decided I didn't like it there, so I actually brought it just to bring a little bit of a gentle glitter over here, and I put some of these what is this called? Fishing line pearl trim over here. And I was thinking I might put a strand of this still, but I'm not sure about that yet. And then up on this side, what I realized is that I wanted a little more coming down this way, but not to cover all of this. So, and I thought it needed some softening. And you know, I love the feather look, but I don't like feathers. Does that make sense? I actually bought some feathers and I used them and they look beautiful, but I always go back to thinking that the feathers deteriorate and I don't want feathers in my projects because of that. So instead I found ways to give like that softening feather look with more things, and I'll show you those things right now. And this can be trimmed or I can leave it. I haven't decided. I just started placing it in there, and when I did that, I had removed the large third flower here, and I decided that instead of putting that big flower back on, I just put on a small flower here, because I thought that the colors, you know, with the three, that was enough red in this area. And then here on this beautiful golden fabric, I decided to put one of those beautiful cameos. Remember the cameos I told you, I have these in my shop. And I did take off that top. I just snipped it with wire cutters. And then I just used a very thin, you know, I wanted the gold to be seen, so that's what these are good for, these little ones that kind of bring in a little bit of a different color, because I do have those colors over here on this part, so it kind of blends it all together. And then over here on this side, I decided to put this green one, and it's kind of loose still because I'm going to add something here. I usually add it, but don't put too much glue, because I might add more, because I'm still not done with the softening. I saved that so I could show you what I do with that. And over here you can see I did add some of the softening also, and it's not feather. I'm going to show you what that is in a moment, because I wanted something to kind of soften the frame. And this here, depending on how it lies, I basically can reinforce it. Put a little glue and kind of bring it this way if I want it to come a little off. And I'll show you these in a bit. Down over here, I think I'm going to leave this cameo here. It's still not permanently attached. It's just attached as a brooch. So I might just leave it as a brooch just like that, or I may glue it. I'm not sure. But so right now it's just attached. I don't even think it's centered, so I might have to look to see if I want to center that. And I still have these little things hanging here. Here at the bottom, I don't remember if I told you this already, but I ended up putting a tassel underneath this. I placed the tassel. Then there's that still. And then on top of that, I placed I went ahead and added this trim here. I remembered I had some of this, and then this is that doily, and then this is one of my very favorite vintage doilies. It's a very thick doily, and then upon that I placed these some of the gold flowers, and because I was wondering how to bring in a little more gold, because I had a little bit of light red and the creams in here, but I wanted to bring in some gold, and I got, when I was sleeping last night, I said, oh, I have those gold flowers. And so that's how I did it, and it looks gorgeous. I love that look. I could put, you know, something else there, but right now that's what I have. And it just has that soft look. Over in this edge, because it was kind of plain, I placed this here, but I don't like how it ended here. And that's a piece of that collar that I told you I had. So I'm going to actually, I think I'm going to cut another little piece off of it and then put it this way, which I'll do in front of you. And here underneath it's still kind of plain, but this is where all the tassel goes. And so this has been attached on the side. So I decided I wanted a little bit of green, and remember I showed you this. I have these in my shop where I dyed some doilies, and this one is a synthetic dyed doily, but it has like a sage green, avocado green color. And I decided that would look cute just right in here. I haven't attached it yet because I'm still wanted to show you how I create those wisps. And it's something that you can think about, but not everyone will have what I have, and so you have to search for it. You're going to have to search for this types of things. So okay? This here is one of the wisps I'm using, and this is actually a trim. It's a green trim, and it has just like this kind of a trim, but it's green, and it's very, very light yarn. And I actually had sold this before in my shop, but it got low, and I decided I was going to keep a couple of yards for myself so I could use for my embellishments. And I really love the way it softens things. And the green that's in there is actually some type of a synthetic yarn that has like a shininess to it. And I think that adds a nice wispy look. And if you want it longer, you can actually snip these to make them longer. So I kind of wanted to add a little more wispiness on this side. You can see that. And then this, and then this is the other one. I'm going to show you how I do this one. I don't think I have another piece, so I got to make one anyway. What I've done is, this is one of those beautiful fabrics that I have, and this is a fabric that is maybe something that would be, that as an elegant fabric that might be used. Maybe you'd find it in the decorating section of your store, but this actually happens to be a vintage piece. And that's what I'm using. I've been using a lot of vintage pieces that my sister brought me, and I'm learning, figuring out different ways to craft with them. And that's what these flowers are here. This is a vintage fabric that's much like that. And then this is also a vintage fabric. And I only had a little piece of this actual gold. I think I have a tiny bit left, but not much. I put some of it in the tassel. And so what I do is I take it, and this, I think, is about, let me measure that for you. Okay, so when I started, this was a six-inch piece of the fabric that I folded in half, and then I just used hot glue to glue it here. And this is how I began these flowers right here. But I also make it a little bit wider so that I can make these wisps. I'm going to show you. When you have these fabrics, they usually will fray a lot. And if you cut it one direction, it'll fray a certain way. Look how pretty these frays are. It'll fray a certain way. If I would cut it this direction, like this way, it will fray differently. Can you see that fray? It's more of a darker, I don't know if you can see it, it's a darker gold compared to this gold. So this fabric is made with two colors of thread, and they're like, this is a shiny gold and this is a more muted gold. So I wanted this gold, which is it feels like silk, very soft feeling. And so what I did is I go ahead and I just trim it like I do when I'm doing the, you're doing a puff flower. And I do it probably less than 1/4 of an inch. You can experiment, because that's what you have to do with all the fabrics that if you try to use them. Experiment with them. And so this is actually the same way I made these flowers right here. But I actually rolled them this way, and it was shorter. It wasn't as long as this one is. So this one is for me. I set it up purposely for this purpose. And I don't need too much, but maybe one more. I'll just cut this one off. Okay. Now, I just have a little piece. It's probably about not even 3 inches, I don't think. And it's because it's how I'm going to use it. You can make them longer or shorter. And then what I do is I start shabbying it up. Look how pretty. See how beautiful? And you can, like right here in this section, you can see how soft those are. That's because I actually went all the way and got it all off. I actually took all the threads that were running the opposite way, and I took them all off. And you can do that after the fact, or you can do it during, but you can see, I want you to see that effect that it gets when you start shabbying it up. And just beat it up and getting the threads out, and you know, just do what you need to do to get it out. You can see how pretty that is. Look how gorgeous that looks now. And all these wisps to me look like that soft effect of a feather. And let me do one where I actually take more out. Let me do this one. Okay, so this one right here, you can see what it looks like, and not much came out, but you can do it a little bit at a time because it's the way you cut it. So these ones have one, and because it's glued on this end, they don't usually all come out. Some of them may, but you can see the cross ones right there, right? And you can take them all out. So this would be detailed work for you. Normally you can just grab a feather and put it on, but I like to, I don't know, I do these types of things. And of course, once you get it all off, all those little cross pieces will be all over the place. That's why my house is always messy, my craft room. It's either that or other fabric items that I've been taking apart to do this type of a thing, or to create a flower. And so what I have is I have this piece that I showed you, and this piece, and you see how they look together. Isn't that gorgeous? And you can actually trim the top one. You don't have to keep it that. You can trim here if you don't want it as long, but I can always do that after the fact. And you can also sew this together so it gets that type of a look. And I did that for this one over here because I wanted a lot. And over this side, I decided I'm not going to put as much, and I'm just going to spread it out and see what it looks like. And all I'm doing is right here underneath these flowers that I haven't completely glued, I'm going to place it. And that's kind of spread out. I might do a little more. Let's see. You can either layer them like that, or you can go like this, and this is what I did. Just put a little glue, and then just stagger it back and forth. There we go. You see how pretty that is. So that to me looks like a simulated feather look, and it's actually a beautiful threads of fabric that are very light and gorgeous. And I do that to both. And all I'm doing is you can actually put glue on each side if you want, but I'm not. I'm just folding it back and forth like a fan fold. Put a little glue on this one. Is very heavy on this side with embellishment, and then it spreads out, and then over here this thick tassel material, that's what balances it out a little. And then I balanced out the elegance with a little bit of this here. I still need to put this in. I might actually get more of this, but this is the one that's torn and all scraggly, and so it's like a way for you to see that you can mix up something that is tattered. This is what I'm doing. I'm mixing, like, I mix things up, my styles, and make things my own. So the reason I like to show you myself using something that is tattered, because sometimes you think, oh, it has to be perfect for you to put it in your project, and it doesn't. Depends on the project, really. And this one is, I wanted to do like an elegant tattered type of a look, and so I went with the golds and the reds. And over here, I don't know if I showed you this one, but I put this rose bling here, and I was trying, again, it's another way to kind of tone down some of the colors, but then add some elegance at the same time. So these are different ways that you can use the colored doilies that I've been dyeing. I'm actually planning to dye laces and put them in my shop. We'll see. I might just dye a few a little and see if they sell, because I could use what people don't buy, but I'll probably stop. So if you really do like that, make sure you comment below and let me know. Okay, what do you think? Is it overdone? For me, it's overdone elegant, but at the same time, it has these vintage looks to it. I think it has, I don't know, you tell me, do you know what style I am? I hope you like my project, and it inspires you to create your own things in a slightly different way. Perhaps you don't like my colors, but you can use some of my techniques with your colors, with your favorite colors. This is Liz with Crafty Devotion. I hope you were inspired today. And there we go. Oh, I forgot to show you the back. Look what I did in the back. I went ahead, and I think the last, it looks just like it did before. I did go ahead and place one more mat of that canvas fabric, and I basically put these attachments on, and then I put the fabric over it. It is still soft